into draft for the final time this series, for the final time this tournament. At the end of this, one team is walking away with the trophy.
Okay, so Caitlyn is banned. Lucian is banned by BDS Academy. Azir is open once again. We might even see a trade of, remember, Victor was first picked last time from the Heretics. I'd imagine you got to entertain the Azir here on BDS Academy. You're probably looking at the Victor yourself.
Now, the thing with BDS Academy is that only one of the players is playing both Sejuani and Poppy, and that is Sheo. But what do you actually prioritize? Because having the Poppy into an Azir is going to be massive. You don't allow the Shurima shuffles to reach the backline. And it also stops a bunch of the champions that Blue Orzer has to counter the Poppy. And it's not like necessarily CEO cares too much if a Trundle is picked into it, which is open right here.
Going towards that Poppy. It's locked in again. Something that Sheo has found a significant amount of success on. 2 games in a row now where he has been the jungler to come out victorious. A hover here of the Samira champion. That would be the lock-in blind, but we'll perhaps wait on that one. I suspect that's just the hover for now. Some exciting ones they may have been, but have they got something more to answer?
Okay.
Victor makes a lot of sense.
So this tournament has been largely an evolution of mid laners away from the early skirmish, the Silases, the Aries, towards these scaling nuclear burst threats later into the game. We saw how much Svero did on that Victor on the games he was given it. Of course, lost with it last game, but was still such a huge threat. Heretics, though, giving themselves choice of bot lane. They are going towards Aphelios.
This is a double-edged sword because Heretics are technically running it back. Instead of a Victor this time in the mid lane, they have an Azir. 2 hyper carries, 2 high-scaling mid lane, bot lane, AP, AD carries in the team. You can lock in the Lulu right here if you want to make sure that you have a pretty good pairing right next to your Aphelios to buff him up. But the question here is, that last game, how much did it affect you on picks like this? Ooh.
Okay, right. So you've got the Sejuani now. You can either nullify that top side or put it on towards the jungle. We're seeing significant differences in some key aspects from that last draft. Particularly, Rika is not going to be able to weave his wall on a Victor. He's not going to be able to cut off the team, give the Poppy extra terrain to start slamming you into, not be able to roam early as well. Svero should be able to get prio, should be able to control the mid jungle in a way that Heretics have struggled to this series.
Word on that Aphelios while it's on screen, as well as the Yuumi locked in early, aside from something like an AD carry. It is, in fact, Jack Spectra's most played champion of all time, just ahead of that Draven, but it's a champion, despite having played for the 24th time last game, he's only ever had a sub 40% win rate on. And again, he's not been always on the most successful teams, even so, maybe some real numbers. What have you got?
Do I dare say, I want Ivone on again. But this time, it would be really wise to possibly ban something like a Trundle, because if I have anyone in my mind that could potentially take the champion, slam it in a lane, and run people down, that someone could potentially be Adam.
Well, plenty of options left and available. Of course, Poppy can always just go towards that top lane as well. Some rare picks of it. It's not necessarily an Adam champion. Those is 1v1 craziness. Right. Well, what we're seeing instead is Heretics trying to ban away Yuumi companions, shall we say, stuff that pairs up well with that. The Twitch was something that came out a little earlier into the tournament as well. Gives you that extra kind of X factor of actually your bot lane coming to roam, turning up somewhere on the map. But BDS Academy going to have to find themselves a second string of pairs for it.
I'm actually surprised. I thought this was going to be a Sivir.
I wondered that as well. But of course, Sivir takes a couple items to get online. If you're saying we need the early pressure, maybe they decided it's too risky.
The only way I'd say not to do that is maybe they're flexing the Sejuani top and saying, Poppy, be down, we're going for a Jarvan again, because Jarvan is the answer into a Sivir, and it's good into a Victor as well.
Actually, you can lock in
Poppy,
you can lock in something like a Vi right here. Flex a Sejuani up top lane, lock in the Vi. Vi Smite takes the spell shield off Sivir, which means that the knockup will land on the champion, and you can also reach the back line. But you already have so much CC locked in for Heretics right here that Blue Orzer could even choose to go into something a little bit more aggressive, if you will.
All right. So you don't have the Ornn locked in just yet. Sejuani's obviously there, but Leona is a champion which has backline access. And I think a lot of champions have come to the fore because Nautilus and Leona have fallen out of the meta. So you don't have to be worried about a solo flare pinging you on the backline. You have one last choice to add in something to supplement that engage. It's a top lane or a jungle. Sejuani going towards the top lane.
Okay.
That's a good call. Anti-tank shred now as well. You start chucking that Yuumi onto a Poppy. Maybe that Poppy just disappears.
Pillar into Victor and Sivir as well as a miserable place to be unless you've got that flash available. So powerful into those immobile carries. Adam's Olaf.
I was about to say, I don't know how viable here Na is, so he might have to resort back to an old favorite since Darius has been permabanned the entire series so far. But that makes a bunch of sense because with so much CC, you can just completely ignore the front line. Now, a problem that I do have with Olaf right here is that there's a bunch of mid shields you have to go through, which will also damage you on your way to the Azir and the Aphelios. And by the time you reach the Azir, he can shuffle you.
There's also a lot of things which can pop your ult for free. You've got that Solar Flare, you've got that the non-committal engage. You've got a lot of ability to engage at range. Then the Trundle ult smacks through that ultimate, and you're really not happy about things. There's only so much a Yuumi can do. BDS Academy, when they are engaging, if they choose to, they need to be hyper-coordinated. If someone gets stuck alone in the meat grinder of Heretics DPS, they lose those fights.
Now, saying this, of course, Heretics, even though I do really love the front-to-back composition that they have right here, a lot of big potential, a lot of engage, disengage, these two carries take a while to come online.
Yes.
So I want to see where Blue Razor is going to choose to actually play for, because usually when there's a Yuumi lane down the bottom, then it's just the AD carry that needs to be careful of positioning, and it's -1 person from the lane, which makes it extremely diveable in the early game.
It does, and of course, if that Olaf gets rolling and then has a Yuumi on top, maybe you get caught in place by, you know, a Pillar or a Shurima Shuffle, and you go, well, great, you're in, put me even closer to you. I can just keep running at you with the zoomies, with the final chapter, and you just die to that incredible combo.
You just put a really disgusting image in my head. Right?
I mean, Blabber was doing it for years. We've all seen how that works in International League of Legends. See whether he can do it again. It did not work out in game one. He got separated from his team a lot. Perhaps a little easier for him to work with the Yuumi this time around compared to the Soraka, but the Pillars, the Solar Flares, the Emperor's Divides, a lot of ways to pick off some immobile carries by Heretics.
This is why I feel like Shio might have to play towards that top side of the map here. Put down your vision towards the bot side and try to get that Olaf ahead. Because if I'm looking into the future, I'm favoring Heretics so much. The second Adam steps forward with his ult and the subjugate goes down from the Trundle, he's a piece of paper. He's just gonna melt on his way to the carries. Same is gonna happen to Shio's Poppy, right? So unless you get massively ahead in the early game, it looks kind of grim.
Observers were briefly saying hello to some of the local wildlife, the duck in the bottom river, which we've long had the running joke is actually an eldritch beast overlooking the rift. And,
yes, right.
While we're also casting our gaze onto the rift, looking at all of these players lining up for the last time in this tournament, it is so fitting that it has gone the distance between the first face-off in a finals Spain and France, the LVP and the LFL have ever had in this competition.
It's closer, I think, than many people even had the gall, the temerity to call for. Even Noah, right, the biggest LVP fan I know, was so nervous to give this team a real fighting chance in some ways, and they have proved so many of those doubters so very, very wrong. They have come in, they have pushed BDSA to the absolute limit, just as they had been pushed in turn. And maybe they can follow in Mad Lions' hallowed footsteps, winning in 2018, and joining the LEC a couple years later. They maybe want to do it in a slightly shorter time span, hit the ERLs, win EU Masters, and head straight into the LEC next split.
So, Sheo, Blue Resort have their options. Level 1 all-in, actually, from the Heretics bot lane, especially with Aphelios not being the strongest champion at that level. Getting any chunks there, very unlikely to happen, but of course, Yuumi lane's also not the strongest at that time.
And because the Yuumi lane is not one of the strongest, you get to dictate the way you want to play your waves. So if Jack Spectra and Whiting build a big enough wave, Blue Razor is pathing towards that bot side of the map. And again, it's not always about killing someone when you dive. Taking that Sivir away from the tower, depriving her of her experience and gold, means that her power spike will be heavily delayed. And that's exactly what Blue Razor is doing towards bot side.
Dive being built up, but Sheo is here to respond. What are they realistically going to get here? Is Whiting going to commit a flash to this?
Think about it, Sheo is there. This could be very dangerous indeed. He's on vision. Will now turn up. Teleport's coming through as well. BDSA, the trap is sprung. And first blood onto Sheo's Poppy.
That is disaster for Heretics, but BDS Academy, they leave out the honey and they say, come on, try and sting us. They stick him underneath the bot lane tower, pin him in place, and take 2 important kills in the early game.
I just want to say that the pathing from Sheo this game, spectacular. He started chickens into blue, into Gromp, got that early level 3, just so he can be bot side for this particular dive. And reminder, BDSA are so eager to pull their teleports very early on, particularly Adam, to stop dives like this from going down in the very early game. And BDSA are walking in with a kill on their Poppy, but also on the Civi, who by now should have been dead, deprived by gold and experience.
That is so frustrating for Heretics because they went up 2-0. They had 2 slap back in their face. They come in with a bit of a different draft again. They finally get Nazir for Zvero in this mid lane, this champion of such high priority, and they have a strong plan to cut out this Yuumi from the game, and they are smacked in the face.
You can just hear the Admiral Akbar quote from here, because it really was a trap. Bot lane was well and truly online. Rika, though, hit with the pillar, going to throw down the gravity field and walks it out. Nerves of steel there despite the 3-man collapse.
He's done that several times in this series, having that discipline. Game 1 was difficult from Rika. The rest of this series, he has been incredibly important to BDS Academy's success.
Adam haunting that river bush there as Ibo returns from his attempted collapse in mid lane. And BDSA find themselves up 1,000 gold before 5 minutes, and a lot of that is some very scary places. Onto Sheo on that Poppy. It's onto Crowny, who ends up, despite a tower value being 1-0-1.
Now, I'm actually interested to see what Sheo's going to choose to play this game in terms of his Poppy, because you can go towards the very tanky builds with Bamisinda, but you can also go towards Shin builds, something like the Sandra, if he feels like he can play more aggressive. It's going to be the Bamisinda, of course, being purchased. But the fact that he has this item over Blurzor, who has not yet reset, means that he's first on the map, he's first to look for opportunities, and he knows that the Trundle will not be able to challenge him if he finds him in the river or in any part of the jungle.
Call this out as well, that Ibo has decided against anything like the Ignite. He has actually gone towards the Flash, a little bit scared of the potential all-ins that Adam can bring, so a bit more escape ability there. And be the Ghost for Jack Spectra as well, so there's no heal down there, it's just a lot of aggressive summoners as Sheo has turned up bot side, looking to see whether there's anything to be found, but instead we'll just take this opportunity to clear away the ward that was in that Tribush.
BDS Academy still at that 1,000 gold lead. Level 6 hit by Adam, has Ghost, has ult, but not going to be able to find the all-in angle.
That is a rough wave, actually, right there from Ibo. He's going to need Blue Resort to move towards the top side of the map to try and help him. Of course, Blue Resort is towards the bot side of the map because the Dragon is threatened from BDSA, so he wants to make sure that he's around. But the wave is not necessarily favoring Ibo right here. Fortunately for him, Adam is going to shove this. Adam is really low on mana. He's looking for the that second reset. Sorry. He's going to shove in that wave and choose the back.
Herald spawning a minute and a half, Dragons up, neither team feeling quite confident to go for it as yet. And of course, it's very early into the game, so none of that to be found. And it does feel like after that failed dive, things have slowed down just a touch. You do see White In and Jack Spectre having a look to see whether there's anything to be found in that bush. And Blue Resort was having a look down for bot lane 30 seconds or so ago, but nothing is found. And you can feel the tension here, especially after the initial play goes a bit wrong. There's that feeling of having touched the hot stove and burned your hand, and just a bit nervous about going for another one of those aggressive plays, because if another one goes wrong, it can fall apart real quick.
It's already depriving them of options. You would love to have White In affecting mid lane, unlocked from this lane, but you're stuck here now. You're stuck in bot lane. This Leona, which is a large amount of their power on forcing fights early into the game, has already lost many of their options because of BDS Academy's incredible response to that bot lane dive.
And honestly, to me, this is a head scratcher because Jack Spectre is running the Flash and he's running the Ghost. A Yuumi lane pre-6 is not necessarily a lethal lane, so you can leave the Aphelios all alone. All you need is a little bit of vision. I would have loved to see what you said, actually White In roaming the max. Vero has been level 6 for quite a while now. Try to use the Sarima Shuffle, try to use that Leona to put pressure onto Rika, maybe burn a Flash. And then once that Flash is burned onto that Victor, then the Trundle pillars come in and they can be really lethal. But the fact that White In has been stuck in lane with Jack Spectra, even though Jack Spectra is using both moving summoners, is a little bit of a head scratcher to me.
Actually, let's take a moment to really praise Crowny and Odose, because coming into this series, wasn't exactly that hyped about this bot lane. They had survived a lot of pressure, but they've been rarely winning their lanes in a heavy manner. They were picking towards bot lane, and it really was a bit of survival in this bot side. Against Jack Spectra, against Whiten, against this lane that Heretics have found so much success through, Crownie and Authority have been actually a real strong lane in a way which I'm sure actually a few people would have doubted.
Yeah, I certainly was among them. I had my doubts, especially around some of the positioning in key moments where Crownie was getting caught out, even on the likes of the Caitlyn. But it does feel like, especially these last couple games, he's been very dangerous indeed. Back on the Civ, it wasn't the most impressive game the first time in the series on it, but can certainly have a better time of it now, especially with how the early game has gone. Shoved into mid lane, though, by Heretics, and the Herald's gone their way as well.
And I would really love, again, now that we get a little bit of time, to praise Shell for his builds once again. Russes the Mercs with Leona around, with Sejuani around, with the slows coming in from Trundle. That extra... I forgot
tenacity.
the word. Tenacity, thank you very much. That extra tenacity coming in, but also the magic resist, because Sejuani and Leona deal a lot of magic damage, and same as Azir, is going to prove to be really, really helpful in this early game.
Shao's got the wrap on them. This is very dangerous.
Heretics need to be afraid. They think it's a 1v2, but I don't think it will be very long. Shao's coming over. Keeper's Verdict is down. Jack Spectre shoved back, flashing away, but knocked up by that Keeper's Verdict. Healing his way back up. Will get out to safety, but the summoners are popped.
So that's double summoners blown from Jack Spectra. Once again, this Ophelos, this Leona, being just held down. This is where they really wanted to unlock this support. And once again, BDS Academy absolutely not content to let them do that.
Yeah, and Whiten cannot move right now, because if Jack Spectra had two mobility summoners, he's lost both of them. So Whiten is now locked for another 5 minutes right next to Jack Spectra on that bot lane, which means that Rika can continuously shove in these waves when they know where Trundle is on the map. Really key for the side of BDSA. And on the contrary, what I'm seeing is that slowly but surely, through raw lane pressure, Heretics are clawing the way back up in terms of gold. Only 500 gold difference, 700 gold difference away right here. And after Zvera is done with this wave as well, it's going to be pinched a little bit more. So through raw lane pressure, Heretics are keeping themselves up.
And while we have often said, look, Heretics need to be the team getting ahead early, that's how we've seen them succeed.
Tried to
this
stop
lane... or this series, rather, as we do see that interrupt that Nightmare called out, as I was looking at my cast on the screen. Bad timing on that. Yeah, but like obviously, actually in this series, we've seen a slightly different type of Heretics. They have been able to play for the mid game, for those team fights, and they've certainly got a comp here, which is great at 2 items, great at 3 items. They certainly don't lose out purely in scaling here in this game.
I'm just a little bit questionable here, because Bluers are on this Trundle. You've got any mobile mid, you've got any mobile bot. Usually all it takes in the early game is one pillar, and it forces a flash, which then pins whoever you've taken the flash off underneath their tower, or if they overstep, you just instantly punish them. I think this is the only game where I've seen Bluers are actually not being very vocal with his ganking, with his pressure in the early game. Sheo has been running over the entire map.
And you know, there was another game where it shut down. That Jarvan, of course, really struggled to get off the ground in that one. But in this game, it felt like that early dive stoppage by BDS Academy has stopped a lot of the ability for Heretics to play around this topside. Adam, camping ult, popping Ghost.
Interesting choice there, trying to drop the Herald topside. Adam will pop the Ghost in the ultimate, will try and prevent the tower going down. The subject gets popped into that Glacial Prison, into the timeout, and he's just gone. Deleted off the top of the rift.
I'm just gonna say, all in all, great kill right there, but...
Bot side, Whiten is in danger, but actually underneath the tower misses. That Moonlight Vigil, but the turnaround is pretty damn good. Solar Flare lands down. Ivo has teleported in, but he doesn't have a Glacial Prison. Will still go over the wall, but he's into 3, knocked into the wall. Flashes right back out of that one.
Real quickly, back to the Herald. That was a Herald that was popped for Trundle and Sejuani of all people. You've got an Azir, you've got an Aphelios, but you do not dare step into these lanes because you're gonna get shut down. So that Rift Herald was mainly soaked by Bluerzer himself, who's going for a little bit more of an aggressive build going into the Sandra.
Yeah, but you know, in Europe, we do love ourselves our powerful Trundles. Elioyo would be testament to that one. Having a front line with gold is by no means a bad thing, as long as your back line is also doing damage. Adam, I think, you know, he's been playing a lot of these tight margins as well this series. Remember that Renekton game where he was sat there being like, yeah, I survived on 4 HP, that's fine. Couldn't find the angle this time. And suddenly, this pressure lane, this Olaf into the Sejuani, is behind in gold and doesn't have a tower to fall back to.
Yep, go straight to Glacial Prison. Do not pass go. Do not pick up 300 gold. I can't believe you did that. Look, I've been pretty good this series about avoiding too many awful jokes, but
You
that
guys.
one... Trouble's like, why am I here?
Imagine
Just to
living with
suffer.
them.
This is definitely not Metal Gear.
Okay, now, and Dragon is up. It's Infernal. Hextech already went over to BDS Academy. They got those stats, very important ones. But with the ultimates coming back up from Heretics, even with them actually not able to come here to contest. So 2 early Dragons over to BDS Academy in this all-important deciding game fight.
Yeah, reminder, Ivo had to TP down bottom to defend Jack Spectre and Whiten from the dive, so he's not gonna have his teleport up and available for him. What he's gonna do is pressure that top lane, force Adam to back and have to reply to the wave. And so far, in general, these games have been a lot about pressuring waves, pressuring side lane, making sure your vision is down. And something that we've always praised Heretics for is that vision. But right here, I feel like BDS, well, these 2 games that they've won back-to-back have had the number when it comes to vision control.
I think especially in Game 4, it felt like they were struggling to take command of the map in key moments. It caught them off guard a number of times. That led to that Baron going down, that led to that unfortunate play as Whiten just get chunked out there briefly by a prowling projectile, but it's not going to matter too much right now. Adam will spot out that control ball. Normally quite hard to spot that one. He's a little afraid as Blue Resort and Ivo have been a pair of Bash brothers this game.
Oh no, he didn't spot them.
Ooh, didn't spot them, but we'll take a fair amount of damage. Rika's coming on over. Permafrost comes down, but Zvero, I apologize, was roaming to support there.
What I really like from Heretics is the adaptation through the series. The fact that if you say the name Heretics, they know they're gonna play over towards Jack Spectra and Whiting, try to get that fella's head. Even when they were playing Senna Seraphine, they were still playing for that bot lane right here.
Oh. Nice attempt at the read, but Rika will have the flash in time. The predict wasn't quite on for Ivo this time.
Okay, so Victor, no flash. It's taken him a little while to get that, but remember the amount of tools, but the amount of tools they have to reforce onto this champion. Next time you're in a fight, next time you see Victor walking up to a Leona with ult, to anyone else, things get dangerous for BDS Academy. Herald started up.
Zvero in the mid lane, holding onto that wave, but Whiten chunked out. Herald goes down. Turn around with that Moonlight Vigil. Means that there's no real follow-up. They get the Herald, it's only the helper of Whiten that's chunked.
Yeah, and Heretics get away with that Herald. It's so important, again, when you have champions like Victor using that Herald to break open the mid lane when there's so much wave clear on the opponent team is going to be a very useful tool for you to actually unlock them up, get that vision control back, so then you can play through your very strong Trundle, your very strong Sejuani through the tops of the map. And again, that adaptation and development through the series to know that, you know what, Jack Spectra isn't an affiliate. He will scale, he'll get there. He's got an item and a half, 2, 3 items. That's when you start playing for him. Zvero has gone completely silently towards his first Leandris, 300 gold up. He'll scale, he'll get there. Getting yourself ahead, especially after a very failed level 3 dive, which put your entire team down 1k gold, was of pivotal importance to Heretics. And again, they've got the first 2 items from mid and top. Sorry, jungle and top.
Yeah, it's that discipline again. We've seen it from BDSA, particularly in their first Poppy game for Shao. He ended up being very far behind after a insane level 1 from Blue Resort, but they couldn't quite finish it. But in this game, this one is Heretics having to find their way back out of what was an awkward early game. They're back in the lead now, though. They have themselves over 1,000 gold lead, and they do have a flashless Victor for the next couple of minutes to try and take advantage of. They can force a fight, they have a Herald, they have their ultimates. But they have been punished for their own oversteps in this series. However, Heretics are very much not the team to be dismayed on that level.
A minute and a half just over until what will be a sore point for BDSA, but topside Adam has decided he's had enough of waiting. Flash out of Ivo in trade for the ghost from Adam.
That's where it comes in handy, so that Olaf does not run you down, because if you keep running into the axis, if Olaf keeps picking them up while you're running away, he's gonna run you down, and Adam knows that champion too damn well.
Sheo has to flash, gets rooted with the Binding Eclipse. Final chapter popped as well.
They're really looking for the Herald right here. They've got in the pocket, they wanna use it to get that pressure in the mid lane and then bleed into that bot side river for the Dragon. Luckily for BDSA, they do have the Scuttler in this river, so they do know whoever walks in and whoever walks out.
Again, Heretics, they have the ability to make the next big play. They have that Herald, they could have forced that fight. They have just enough reservation on that one, though, to take what was given to them for free and then walk away. They have time on this Herald. They can go back, they can have another crack at it later on, especially with this Dragon coming up in a minute. Maybe that'll be a better timing for them. Use it as a counterweight. Stop the BDSA dragon stacking.
And I don't know if right now it's the perfect timing to fight because Adote has just finished his Moonstone. Whiten is just sitting on a couple of components plus stopwards. That Sivir is gonna start getting a lot more gold in the pocket, and honestly...
Oh, my days, it's gonna be close. Tower shots coming through on Adam, but there's no ignite this time. Ivo needs to run. Gore drink a heal. Keeps Ivo
no mana.
vaguely alive. He's got no mana. He can't get away. Blue Resort coming up. We want to try and turn this around, but Adam brings down the axes and cleaves in at the head of Sejuani into Adam. Trying to trade out. He's so low HP. Ragnarok comes through. He's winning this! But the chomp from the Troll King does silence the Viking.
But this 10 seconds till Dragon, this was a chosen decision by Heretics to go towards top side and not fight in the 5v5. Maybe they're waiting for the next item breakpoint. Maybe they're waiting for BDSA to make a bigger mistake rather than facing them face up. They lose themselves their top laner. They can't compete for this one.
But right now, Heretics are on a timer. In 5 minutes' time, this will be soul for BDSA. And even though you were stalling to get items, they're not going to be given to you. You only have 5 minutes.
It's a teleport up there. They're looking for a second charge. Oh, it's where they...
How far will they go?
I'm not sure they can go for anything more than just that inner turret, but they secure it with it at least.
Okay, well, they've still got themselves the gold lead out of this, but you're right. The soul point is a big discrepancy. Amount of souls pretty huge.
They're looking for Spectra.
He's in danger. He was trying to shove for that tier 1 bot. They were trying to get something on both sides of the map. Uses the Gale Force. Does have the flash. Ghost is down. They will not be able to get anything more. Ghost and flash burned, but they will not kill off the AD carry. Now mid lane.
This is like flowing around the map like water. Heretics taking everything on the map.
Gonna jump on the crown. He's taken damn low. Can't quite kill him. Whiten ignited, taken down. Up comes the turret. That sun disc will be a morning vigil for Leona.
Look behind them. Sheo is flanking them onto this Poppy. He's sitting right behind, waiting for an opportunity, but Crown is way too low and doesn't want to step up. This is a big win for BDSA right here. Remember how we said they only have 5 minutes timer? Well, they took Jack Spectra's both summoners. His flash is not going to be up when Heretics want to fight for the next dragon, which is going to be Soul for BDSA. So if you get flanked by an Olaf, you're definitely going down.
Now, the bonus for Heretics in terms of the silver lining is that they did get mid out of turret. That's obviously the most important turret in the game out of your first ring of them. And that gives you the ability to put wards like that. You will be able to put that down if that turret was there, of course. You'll be able to spot that one out. Heretics have that ability to have more control over mid lane, but they have to use it well. If they lose around this dragon, BDS Academy look like they are on course for that throne.
And I'd like to ask our observers where that Anathema's Chains has gone to from the sort of Blue Resort, because my mind says you put it on Victor, you build full armor, and you put it onto Rika's Victor.
I can see the angle there. See who it's been attached to. We'll have a hover through and see where the production gets back to us. I can see the angle for Crownie as well, potentially, if they feel he needs to die. Sheo running away right now. He's got the Yuumi on top of him. He's a very good carrier of the cat. But nothing more to be found right now. It is, as we said, the gold lead to Heretics, but that win condition, that looming Dragon Soul fight. It's a long way off, but it's another Baron start.
They're not there. They're not there, Sheo. He's just around the corner, but it's going so quickly.
He's got no flash. He's got no flash and no blast code. They can't get in. Keeper's verdict will have to be good. It's too late. It's gone. Solar Flare afterwards alongside the Glacial Prison, and like the last game, it's inverted. Heretics steal away the Baron this time.
It is smoke. It's mirrors. It is a sneak from Heretics this time.
And now, even though Jack Spectra will not have his flash up and available for this particular fight, he'll have 2 items on top of the Sivir that have lanes pressuring around the map. And they can use the pressure with the Baron to threaten potentially an end, while BDSA are fixated on something like that Dragon Soul.
And the timing is so good for Heretics. It's 2.5 minutes up until that dragon spawns. That gives you more than enough time to shove in, control the map, reset, go towards that dragon. They can have a full run at this fight and give themselves the best possible chance. BDS Academy need to start racking their brains about how they approach this soul fight now.
And it has been confirmed, Anathema's Chains are on Victor. You build that full armor, you're gonna go towards a Thorn Mail, and then you put the chains onto Victor. You don't care about AP damage either.
Ivo being attacked on the top side. Chaos Storm is down, but the wave is dead, and that means no easy way to get to him. But Adam ghosting away in the bot side. Pillar comes down to block off an easy escape. The Chilling Smite comes through, the Subjugate as well. But will Olaf fall down? Zvero coming over, looking for a potential shove. Here comes the turnaround with Adote on that Yuumi. But they will not get anything more. Tower is instead the prize.
Yeah, Blue Resort pulls the ult a little bit early, not able to twin on that damage to anything that the Azir was bringing in. We're once again seeing this flowing water across the map. Both teams
go.
avoiding each other, taking the structures.
Trying to siege onto tier 2. Goes down.
BDSA, your wave clear is all the way on the top side of the map, trying to push a tower. You only have a Sivir. If she missteps, if she walks too close, she can get shuffled by the Azir. And the Heretics are going to use this information that they have with Victor being top side of the map to actually shove in and use their Baron to take all other towers.
And after the first couple of levels, after that hugely failed dive from Heretics, you could see all of the numbers on the bottom scoreboard going over the BDS Academy. Now, in what could be the pivotal fight for the entire tournament, it is over to the side of Heretics. BDS Academy, they are damn good team fighters. They will need to show it against a mountain of gold against them.
And I just want to ask observers, please show us top right quadrant of the jungle because it's lit up in blue.
Oh, wow.
Every freaking where. Whoever walks in from BDSA, they will have info on that eyeball is leading the charge. Whoever missteps could get hit by an ultimate, ends up going down. 2.5 items Azir, 2.5 items Aphelios will take you down.
Brace for impact. Everyone from France, from Spain, from around Europe and the world. 5 seconds until the soul fight, and neither team will be backing down. It is Heretics who have control, but BDSA who have stacked the dragons beforehand. Sheo coming in, but it's so dark.
Okay, BDS Academy actually choosing to back off. Maybe they can catch someone in the return back to mid. Of course, they are looking at Heretics saying, all right, we can give up a dragon or two. It's not the end of the game. Looking for the angle still, potentially.
Crowny gets a lot of damage down onto that turret, but now he's left in a difficult position. Chunks eyebrow out just a little, but will not secure anything more than half the HP of that turret.
Fun fact, both teams want to be fighting in choke points, but none of the two teams want to be fighting each other in choke points, because Azir Aphelios in choke points is so strong.
Zed's trying to try and turn this all around. So much damage back and forth, but no one's quite secured it. Moonlight Vigil lands, but doesn't do the damage it was hoping for. Glacial Prison lands. Follow-up, not fantastic. Stun onto Whiten, who uses the stopwatch. The turnaround damage! Jack Spectra falls to an undertow, dragged under by Adam. He'll be taken down in trade, a 1-for-1.
Reminder for Heretics, that's only 2 members dealing damage in this late game. It's the Aphelios and it's the Azir. If you lose one of the two, you're most likely gonna lose the consecutive fight coming after this. For the side of BDSA, they had both of them up and running, one of them being Crowny.
He's got a flash, he may need to use it. Ivo's coming over, forces that flash. Permafrost, not yet proc. The turnarounds with the ricochets bounce on through. Sivir, after that rework, has been a terror to behold. Sheo looking for a flash. Will he pop it? He's in there, Raptors. Instead, will just hang on there. A Raptor blow onto the Raptors and continues farming.
And again, like so much of this series, these fights are not going cleanly to one team. Every time there is an engage, there is a bite back. See that Sivir popped early into this fight, and this isn't in the choke point. This is right in the open field of battle, and it's difficult to find the follow-up. There is always something looking for the disengage, and with that huge amount of CC on top of that Chaos Storm, BDS Academy have enough to at least take down the first member.
The thing is, for both of these AD carries, it's so difficult to step forward to put an auto attack even on the tanks, because for Sivir to step into Azir soldiers, for Aphelios to step into lasers and ultimates coming in from Victor is just so difficult. So unless you get a massive Moonlight Vigil from the sort of Jack Spectra, it's so difficult to walk forward to DPS, because if you do, you end up dying like we saw in this replay. And honestly, again, both of these teams want to fight in choke points, but not each other, because they're equally just as good in fighting in these really tight spaces. I feel like for both of them, they need to try and find a pick, which is much easier for Heretics, because they do have the likes of the Sejuani. It lands on someone that can pile onto them, make it a 4 versus 5.
Eyes on that Baron timer. 25 seconds till it spawns. Last time it was a sneak, a very swift one from Heretics. That earned them the gold advantage you see, that stopped that soul stacking quite so easily. They'll get now onto this tier 2. Crowny hit with the pillar. Glacial Prison goes white.
I think that was a little far for the follow-up anyway. Azir not there, don't have those Sand Soldiers. We saw how difficult it is for Jack Spectra to impact these fights. Baron now available. Heretics, of course, snuck the first one of the game. It was a turning point for them, allowed them control of the map, allowed them to take that first dragon back from BDS Academy. Now they are the ones trying to shove back, counter shove, and get control of this north quadrant.
Really importantly, Crowny does not have a flash. If he gets caught by a Leona ult, any Leona-related CC, the Azir shuffle, any Moonlight Vigil, Crowny is going to be in a lot of danger. And as you can see, He is pretty far forward. These soldiers start hitting, you're gonna be in a lot of trouble, but mid lane wave is always the name of the game when we're talking about going into the river and getting control of the Baron. This is favoring Heretics, because while this time and clock is going down, Eyeballs ult is coming back up in 8 seconds.
Okay, but BDS Academy have that vision control. They're coming in from this top side. They have a Sivir ult. They have ways to at least try and find their target access, but once again, tentative, back and forth. Neither team willing to give up the opportunity.
The funny thing is, when every single team pushes that mid lane wave, they just slightly pull not only into fog of war, but in these tight choke points where it actually favors their own team, right?
Oh, hang on, wait, is this gonna be a Baron start?
BDS are trying to bait, of course, the Baron to try to force Heretics through these choke points where their where their Victor and the Sivir shine.
Rizzo steps forward, takes a chunk, but isn't anything more. The Sundic spawned by Zvero, trying to control the mid lane wave. 35 seconds until Soul fight once more. And the river is dark for either team on one side or the other. Adam hit with a pillar, but no follow-up yet.
Heretics are going to have to take a choice here. Do you want to stop the Soul from going to BDSA, or do you want to stop them from taking the Dragon and potentially allowing them to take every single outer tower that you have kept alive so far?
Yeah, we're left in this mid lane purgatory, a choice of neither so far. It is this mid lane presence which has been fought so hard over. BDS Academy, you're right, they have options on both sides of the map. They're going towards that Baron.
Fight from glory, a fight from despair. Both of these teams holding the hopes and dreams of their regions. Jack Spectra solos up the Dragon, begins to start it up. BDSA coming on over, but it might just be too little too late.
They're not going for the Baron.
So fast.
They need to turn for the Baron. BDSA need to turn for the Baron. They have all the vision for themselves on the top side of the map, but they were too hesitant to pull the trigger to try and split Heretics. While Seraphilos was busy doing the Dragon, that means only 4 members of Heretics could move up towards that Baron. But BDSA just did not want to pull that trigger.
And Heretics gonna get alarmingly tanky if they can keep stacking up those mounted dragons. 8% of those resists every single stack.
And that's
They're back to the Baron.
important for the Sejuani. Trundle so far ahead of the Poppy as well. Shredding resist is gaining more for themselves. And this push and pull, this ebb and flow, the tides of war shift in Heretics' favor. Dragon to them. Bot lane, chunking out that bot lane inhibitor as well. It is slow going, but it is on Heretics' side right now.
They're crying havoc. Let's slip in, but not quite finding the wall this time.
So I was looking up to the side, and I didn't quite realize it was the Olaf that had the ult. I was like, oh no, it's a pick. And I'm like, he's got a right dog.
I followed up where you left to realize perhaps.
Sorry, okay.
A little hard for that.
We can chill out just a little bit. Crisis averted.
Quite literally, the Ragnarok there, very able to cleanse some of that.
Can you tell I am tense?
Can you tell the teams are tense?
Heretics, though, have started the Baron underneath BDSA's nose. Shell does have flash. All he needs is a little bit of vision at this speed. He's done it before.
This is bold, gets them all. 2,000 HP, they can go and get this. They're just going to lose it all. Sheo, gonna get it down shortly. It's going to be a spine fight secured by Sheo. Baron disaster for Heretics. They'll get the jungler, but it comes at cost.
Okay, that's for a kill, though. So you've lost a member. Heretics, you don't have wave position to punish this that much, but even with the momentary 5v4, BDS Academy not going to lose anything after that. It is a hero play from Sheo with the Baron steal.
And this is so important for BDS Academy because they do not have any engage in their tools. They need to use raw sieging power that the Baron will give them to try and get underneath these towers and start putting down that hurt with the Sivir, with the Victor. And for Heretics, they really need Eyeball and this Sejuani to really hit the mark with that ult so they can all pile up again. You need that 4 versus 5. You need that pick. But here, Heretics, they forgot one of the weapons from Poppy, can throw someone out. They did not split at all. Trundle gets out, it's an easy smite.
And I think the real big thing there is that you gotta
he has no smite.
Comes up
he had it at the very end.
Yes, yeah, so when you go into the replay clients, sometimes those summoners and those cooldowns, they do trick you a little bit, and they was up and available for that one, but Blue Resort stands too close to Widen. He gets punted out at the same time. Momentary mistakes once again, micro margins of error, but Heretics still in this game. BDS Academy, though, in a much better position than they were before that steal.
Freaker holds his nerve, does not get hit, but flashed onto. Can they secure anything more? Here comes the rest of BDSA. It's Adam and Crowley as well. Dangerous members to be fighting without your Azir.
Sheo is not there, Dote is not there. These are two very crucial members from your team. And Heretics are gonna start running you down.
Ragnarok is popped. It's not quite the end of days yet. This game still runs.
Yeah, but that is not in trade for the Subjugate. Subjugate's still up and available, which means you have a lot of fighting power from Blue Resort. And again, this jungler so far ahead that the Trundle is actually a significant threat to BDS Academy in these fights, is a secondary frontliner in the way that Poppy is going to struggle to be in these fights.
Baron hasn't led to all that much yet. A minute left on it and only 800 odd gold that's been earned because the side lanes have not been for once in BDSA's favor. Heretics turn up to this mid lane tier 2 again. Crownie is here alongside Sheo and Odote, but nothing to be done as yet.
And Adam actually TP'd on the top wave, trying to shove in this tower. Ibot does have TP available to join his team no matter what, but it's BDSA trying to link up together with Adam towards the top side of the map. Again, you do not want to be fighting each other in very tight spaces in the jungle because Azir and Victor will have the times of their lives with their spells. Talking about Azir and Victor, they're both sitting on the edge of completing that death cap, even though for Rika, he's one whole item down.
In tight spaces, everyone can hear you scream in this game. Do not get caught in the chokes, but in the open field, it's very hard to land those killer blows. Both these teams try to thread the needle, try to find those odd fights, but as it stands right now, Heretics gonna be second to the plate.
Battle lines drawn, death cap in for the Azir. Heretics looking to claim the throne from the LFL, bring down this empire that stood for 3 championships in a row, and Adam being caught by the pillar is a bad start.
This damage from the death cap could be make or break. Rika, 2.5 items, hasn't completed his death cap yet. He can't because he didn't even have the teleport. You might see him back in here if he has the gold in him.
Okay, but the trade-off, he has a stopwatch. 2 stopwatches for VDS.
Sivirol's down. He's invulnerable, I apologize. With the spell shield, Ivo chucked out, not dead. Shio trying to be healed up. White did have to flash away. On the other side, Jack Spectra has managed to chunk out Adam. Gets him, shreds him to pieces. Dragon started, but it's now at the man disadvantage. 50 seconds on the Olaf sporting and BDSA. They just have to run to the hills. Is this game slipping away from them?
Adam tries to take the 1v1 versus the AD carries, but you've got Severin Crescendum on the Aphelios, runs down the Olaf, and what an important moment that is. So many base stats built up by Heretics after taking yet another dragon.
Honestly, I see why Adam did this, keeping Jack Spectra with these 2 weapons away from a big fight. It is so important. So even though Adam trades his life for this, he keeps Jack Spectra away from everyone else. And it's just so important and pivotal to not have that Aphelios use the Moonlight Vigil with these 2 items. On the contrary though, BDSA get really chunked down because again, that death cap completed on Sphero, on this Azir. 4 items, he's doing a lot of damage on his own, and we said that there's 2 hyper carries in each team. Sphero is there, he's doing the damage Jack Spectra can't.
And I'm gonna throw something out here now. Even if BDS Academy gets sold, I think their front line is so much more squishy, and a triple Mountain Dragon topside from the Heretics, plus the Subjugate. I feel like giving over this many base dragons is almost as bad as giving over that soul. Of course, they will want to claim it nonetheless. BDS Academy got life in them. They have fighting potential in them. The Heretics grouping up, shoving.
They're going to start walking on in. Who needs a Baron when you have this late game power? They're going to try and hold on. That turret, though, not long for the world. Down and out. Crownie is here. Throws down the On the Hunt. Is this their final moment? A last gasp, a last attempt. The pillar prevents the easy engage.
But that's it. You have no engage from BDSA. They're popping the Sivir ult. That's it. You pop a pillar in front of them. You pop the Leona ult. You stop the siege right there and then. And Heretics are still holding pillars. They're still holding the shove. They're still holding Moonlight Vigil if you have grabbed him. Ibon, this Zhuani has not been missing ults point blank. So Heretics are still standing strong. BDSA are trying to find a catch, but it's just so difficult with the comp they're on.
Sheo on the side.
He's taken up. Is this it? He's been blast combed away. Trying to get on out. Blue Resort flashing on the other side. The damage beginning to come through. Adam caught on the wrong side. Binding Eclipse comes through. Damage. He's going to be burning down. Remember the Death Dance. Gale Force forward into the Moonlight Vigil. Now can he survive the Death Dance? He's ticking, but he's not dead.
Evacuate those choke points yet again. No one falls. There is so much ability to just try and escape by the skin of their teeth, but this will be a Baron. Heretics, the fastest
Sheo
team.
has no flash.
Trying to
He's
play
got to keep his verdict and I hope the pillar comes down. It's done. Taken by Jack Spectra. Now they run away. They need to escape.
BDSA are looking though as if they want to chase that, but they're going to back off.
Heretics, this is a team which has typically played the fast game, played those snowbally victories, but when it has come down to the wire, game 5, their entire split, this entire tournament, put on their backs, riding on this one game. They've played it slow. They've had that discipline. They have bled out BDS Academy to the point, to the brink. It's not done yet, but they are so close they can taste it.
This is giving me back game 4 versus LDOC as well, where they played the back and forth fights when it came to Heretics, beating them in their own game. And right here, Heretics, they've picked up a composition to play the front to back, to play the team fights the way they want to. They have the triggers to engage or disengage a fight, and they've been doing it flawlessly.
Crowny, he's in a very difficult position, throws the halt.
He calls the
Heretics
bluff.
don't come in.
He calls the bluff. He's sat there trying to bait them in.
Sheo, slowed by the solar flare, not taken down. Overcomes Uni, throws down Azumi's. Keeps Sheo healthy enough. Adam, now in a dangerous position. He has been outscaled. It feels like glacial pressure lands. Board out the follow-up, not quite there as yet. Blue are stepping forwards. The redemption comes down to heal people of no one dying, but my God, it's tense.
You don't want to commit, because if you commit and you die, it's 38
Teleport.
minutes into the game. If you die here, it's an entire
Wait, let's
minute
teleport to
that
the
you're
top
going to
wave.
stay dead for. They want to push both waves because the middle one is being stopped by BDSA. They want to use the top wave to take the tower, and then that inhibitor in the mid lane is pretty naked.
Okay, they've just flown across the map. Mid lane pushing, top lane, no response.
Down.
BDSA, they can't go into
Moonlight
it.
Vigil lands on its own. Rika stopwatches, but Adam in the middle of everyone, about to fall down, goes down, throw, gets him, gets 2, going for even more, and it's looking like it's a reformation. It's not Wittenberg, but they're still gonna nail the articles to the Nexus.
BDS Academy, they lose so many, they're gonna lose the Nexus. The team that fells the LFL Dynasty is Spanish!
And look at that, the LFL Orthodoxy fall to the Spanish Heretics. They've done it. It's going to be over. The